Once upon a time, in a little town at the foot of a mountain, there was a young guy. This young guy was well known throughout the town for his sloth. He would spend his days napping and daydreaming under the shade of a tree while the other villagers worked away in the fields and workshops. One day, a wise old monk came to the village and summoned my son, saying, "I have a task for you. I want you to climb to the top of that mountain and bring back a single feather from the highest peak." The young man looked up at the mountain and scoffed, saying, "That's impossible. I'm far too lazy to climb all the way up there." The monk smiled and said, but you see, the feather I seek is not on the mountain itself. It is on the other side of the mountain in a cave that can only be reached by climbing to the top and descending the other side." The young guy was curious since he had never heard of this feather before, and the notion of such a unique undertaking piqued his interest, so he decided to accept the monk's offer. The climb was long and arduous, and the young man soon found himself out of breath and sweating profusely. But as he climbed higher and higher, he began to feel a sense of exhilaration and excitement that he had never felt before. And when he finally arrived at the summit, he was exhausted but elated, looking out at the breathtaking view before him and feeling a sense of accomplishment that he had never felt before. The true struggle awaited the young guy as he descended the opposite side of the mountain in search of the cave where the feather was reported to be hidden. The descent was even more treacherous than the ascent, and the young man stumbled and fell numerous times, but he persisted, driven by the promise of the feather that lay ahead. And when he finally arrived at the cave and saw the feather lying there gleaming in the light that filtered in from the entrance, he picked up the feather and marveled at its beauty. But then he realized he had a problem. How was he going to get back up the mountain and return the feather to the monk? For a brief moment, the young man considered giving up. But then he remembered the sense of accomplishment and pride he had felt when he had reached the summit, and he knew he had the strength and determination to do it again. And so he climbed back up the mountain, his muscles aching and his lungs burning. But he did not give up. He pushed himself to keep going, driven by the knowledge that he had overcome his own laziness and accomplished something truly remarkable. When he eventually approached the monk and handed him the feather, he smiled and said, "Well done, my son. You have learned an important lesson today. Laziness is not something to be condoned or allowed. It is a task to be conquered, an obstacle to be leapt over." Understanding the wisdom of the monk's words, the young man nodded, realizing that he had always been capable of great things, but that his sloth had held him back. Now he knew he had the strength and determination to overcome any obstacle that stood in his way. The lesson of the monk's challenge is that laziness is a challenge that must be overcome, a hurdle that must be leapt over. When we push ourselves to achieve our goals, even when they appear impossible, we discover a strength and resilience within ourselves that we never knew existed. To overcome laziness, we must challenge ourselves and set ambitious goals. No matter how difficult they may seem, we must push ourselves beyond our limits and persevere even when we face setbacks and obstacles. We must also cultivate discipline and consistency in our daily habits and routines. By setting a schedule and sticking to it, we can build good habits that help us to stay focused and productive even when we don't feel like it. Another important aspect of overcoming laziness is to cultivate a growth mindset. This means viewing challenges and failures as opportunities for growth and learning rather than as reasons to give up. By adopting a growth mindset, we can reframe our thinking about failure and use it as a catalyst for improvement and progress. Ultimately, overcoming laziness requires a willingness to step out of our comfort zone and embrace the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Please subscribe to my channel Lessons of Life and press the bell notification icon.